It's still right there. The power line's still sitting on top of the box. No, it's not fixed. But I didn't have my basement flood like my sister. I didn't have a tree come through my roof. I didn't have any of those things happen at my house. Self-control and gentleness. Think outside of ourselves and be able to go, okay, is the internet the worst thing? Yes, it's annoying. Is it the worst thing? No, it's not. All right. So both of these, I think, both of these come from strength and not from weakness. Not from a weakness. It takes strength to be gentle sometimes. Someone's calling you a sexually inappropriate name over and over and over. Even with the best of intentions, you can get irritated. Somebody who has decided to use their shoes to tell their story, and now I'm thinking they're going to throw them at me. It takes gentleness. It takes gentleness. So, nope, I said that one. So if we look at Tim, when I made a joke about his inappropriate name that he was calling me, was that being weak? No. Was I being gentle? Yes. As long as there was no sarcasm attached, which was sometimes very hard for me. All right. Did he learn any lesson? Yeah, he learned a lesson. He doesn't have to hear about his mistakes all the time. He would rather have me talk about his mistakes and his words that he was using with me than to actually talk about what he was dealing with, which was being kicked out of his dad's house, made to live with his mom. All right? So it comes from a position of strength. Sometimes you have some words that you need to tell a person. They need to hear how they were wrong. And they need to hear that right here, right now. Right? But is that gentleness? No. Can it be? Yes. If you do it the right way, it can be. If I had looked at Tim and thought, "Ooh, you little," that's not so gentle. He needed gentleness. He needed a listening ear. He needed someone that was on his side, someone to hear what he was going through. So that is gentleness, and that is self-control. That is what our book had talked about with gentleness and self-control. Does anybody have any questions about that? I need to go this direction. Because I'm also supposed to do a review of the all the fruit of the Spirit. So one of the things that they showed in the book that we have is a picture, which is on. Did everybody get a handout?
Yes.
So at the top here, this isn't the exact picture, but this one has copyright material, so I could use this one to hand out to you. So this is a grapevine, right? It's from a vineyard. So when God talks about grapes and vineyards a lot in the Bible, and he says some things that sound like, I didn't really know what they meant. I kind of sort of had an idea of what it meant, but at that time, everybody would know what that was because vineyards were super important, right? Grapes for food, grapes for wine, all of those different things, they were used extensively. So I looked up things about grapes, which is on our handout here. Grapevines can live 100 years. That is amazing. That's amazing to me. Number 2, this is one of my favorites. For the first 2 years, grapevines do not produce many grapes. It is a process to develop the vines. It is a process. So when we are in John 15, starting at verse 1, I am the vine and you are the branches. So we're going to read that when we get done with this, but think about those verses while we're talking about this. So we are in a process. When God talks about us being a grapevine, we are in a process. The plant literally cannot produce fruit of any goodness or amount for the first 2 years. Grapes have to grow on new growth. So if we look at this picture here, on the right-hand side, those plants or those parts that are sticking up, that's the new growth on a vine. So you have the vine, you can see the main branches, the roots and all that. The part sticking up is new growth. Grapes can only grow on new growth. All right? So what happens if you don't prune your grapevines? You don't get no growth. You don't get no grapes because they can't grow on the old vines, on the old branches. Isn't that crazy?
That's great.
It has to be pruned. Grapes, pruning encourages grapes to develop. No grapes will grow on old vine material. And pruning has to be strategic. All right? Number 6, exposure to the sun. S-U-N, and I put in there S-O-N, increases the size of the fruit. All right? Pruning at this stage increases the yield of fruit. Too much pruning can decrease the amount of fruit. So here you have fruit that's starting to grow. If there's too many leaves, you're not going to have many grapes. If there's not enough leaves, then it's going to basically scorch the grapes and they will die. All right? Grapevines, this is number 7, are sculpted. They're trained to follow a trellis or the fence or whatever it is that they're growing them on. It has to be trained to do that. Why do they want these grapes to be trained that way? So they get the right amount of sun, they get the right amount of air, they are easier to harvest. It is easier for that fruit to be picked and eaten and used. Number 10, grapes can grow from seed. Seems pretty elemental, right? This method can take several years for the grapevines to produce grapes. The vines have to grow big enough, and then once they start producing a few grapes, it's going to take a couple more years after that, and then they'll have some good grapes. Number 11, this one made me almost run around the house. Grapes can be engrafted into an established vine. This protects the plant from diseases and pests. Wow. Let's go to Romans 11:23. Oh, I forgot to mark these. I'm sorry. The little piper there. So if anybody has Romans 11:23, you can go ahead and read that. Bishop can probably recite that one by himself without even having to look it up. We are engrafted in. That language that is used there in Romans, the people at that time would understand that because they knew about grapes. So engrafted in. Does everybody know what it means to be engrafted in a plant? Right? You take a branch, cut it off, you take a branch from another one, you cut little slits in them, put them together, tape them, tie them, whatever, together, and they will grow new vines, new branches. Engrafted in. We are engrafted in. Number 12, vines can be grown from cuttings. So once you cut something off, you plant it in the ground, and it grows an exact copy of the original plant. This is the usual method for planting new grapevines. So you know that these grapes on this vine are beautiful, lovely, great, exciting. You take a cutting. In this case, they said with the grapes, just take a cutting, shove it in the ground, it'll start growing. It'll grow its roots, and it will come in. Let's go to Romans 8:29. 8:29. So Romans 8:29, it says, "For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brothers." Who or what does God want us to become? He wants us to become like Christ. He wants us to be like these cuttings that are just cut off, planted somewhere else. Oh, we're planted, not potted. We're planted, and we produce an exact copy of where we came from. Wow. That is deep. That is deep. An exact copy of where you came from. And then 13, grapevines can also be grown what they call layering. I've never heard of this one. You take the existing plant, you bent it over, stick it in the ground. Oh, you're planting it, stick it in the ground. It will start to grow its own roots. It will start to grow its own plant. Then it can be removed from the source plant, and it becomes its own plant. Again, an exact copy of where it came from. So all of this information about grapes, they would have known this. This is the reason why this language is used in the Bible, in grafting, pruning, all of these different processes, because they knew how grapes grew and what they needed to do to make them grow. I think the fascinating part is the pruning. A grapevine absolutely must be pruned to be productive. It has to be pruned. So when you prune a grapevine at the end of this growing season, you cut it back. You can see on this picture how on the left-hand side there's just little stubs left. You have this giant, beautiful plant. You have all of these leaves growing. You have all of these grapes on the other side. And at the end of the year, you chop them off to nothing. You chop them off to nothing. And those vines are thrown, or those branches are thrown in and burnt up. Any of that sound familiar? All right, let's read John 15, starting at verse 1. I'm the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Jesus is the true vine. He is our source. If we are producing grapes with him, he can cut us off, plant us in the ground somewhere else, and we can be an exact copy of him. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does not bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. So, you're growing. You're producing fruit. Guess what? He's still going to prune you. The plant still needs to be pruned. Verse 3, already you are clean because of the word that I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine. Neither can you unless you abide in me. You have to let those branches grow on your vine to produce fruit. You have to let them mature. And then, I forgot to look this up, but there's a place where it talks about where we have lots and lots of, we look like a beautiful plant, and yet there's no fruit. The fig tree is an example, but there is another place as well. Why? Because if you have too many branches, if you have too many leaves, if you have too much protection for the grapes, they won't grow. They will be stunted. If you let them go free without pruning them, or once they start growing and they start to produce fruit and they start just going crazy, that's just as bad as if you don't prune them. So this entire process that God was talking about here with the vine and the branches and producing fruit and pruning and all of these different things is exactly what he does to us. It's exactly what he does with us. So just seeing this vine and branches. Remember that the next time you're reading John 15, really 1 through 17. He is the vine, God is the vine dresser. I'm assuming everybody knows what that is. He is the one who comes around and prunes the plant and decides which ones to keep, which ones to get rid of, which ones to burn up, all of those things. That is what the vine dresser does. Verse 9, as the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be full. His vine is full of joy. And if we remain on the plant, we're full of joy as well. All right? So, all of the different fruits of the Spirit, if we go to Galatians 5:22, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. All of that fruit is grown on one plant, us. Every single one of those things can grow on the same plant. It seems weird when we think about it because vines grow grapes, fig trees grow figs, right? Has anybody ever seen a plant that has, it was oranges, lemons, and limes on one plant? So they were able to take the branches from the other fruit trees and graft them into, pick one, doesn't matter, the oranges, and because they were engrafted in, they could continue to grow, and that plant can grow not grapes, oranges, lemons, and limes, all on one tree. All right, so all of these fruit of the Spirit, they are free. They are here. Have as much as you want. You can never be in trouble because you have too much patience. You can never be in trouble for any of these things. What does the fruit of the Spirit do for the tree? How does it affect the tree itself? So I'm going to have Don come up here, and he's going to be my tree. I've already given him full instruction on what he needs to do. And it's not the first time he's been my tree. All right, hold out your arms. So, you're going to have to stand there for a minute. So here's our tree, right? He's not very fruitful at the moment because I only have one piece of paper, but he is actually very fruitful. So here's the tree, and we have the fruit hanging from the tree. This fruit, what does it do for this tree? All right, I've given him full instructions, so watch him. Doesn't have anything to do with me, doesn't have anything to do with that. You ready? All right, if I come up to this apple tree and I pick an apple, what happened? What? All right, I'll do it again. Well, I'm sorry, we'll do it again. So I'm coming along, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to pick this fruit from this tree. Watch just him and what he does, because I've given him full instruction on what to do. Say what? Oh, okay. Anything else? Nothing. Thanks, Mr. Tree. Good job. You were an excellent tree. So what happens to a tree, a vineyard, a vine, whatever, that bears fruit when that fruit is picked? It produces more what? Okay, you still keep going? The answer is still nothing. I picked an apple from that tree. Nothing happens to the tree. Just the tree. What does it cost us? What does it do to us when we give away our fruit? Nothing. What happens to a tree? And we'll have him be a tree again. All right. You're going to do the same thing. All right. I didn't pick that apple. I want nothing to do with that apple or that fruit. What happens to the tree? The fruit will go rotten. The fruit will be unused. The fruit will be, you can sit down now, thank you. There we go. It will fall to the ground, which is actually a good thing. But what happens to the tree, or what happens to us if we never use our fruit? We don't get any of the benefits. We are not abiding in God. We are not doing what God has asked us to do. That fruit, the fruit of the Spirit, love, peace, joy, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control, gentleness, is for other people. Even when you think about a grapevine, the grapes are not for the vine. What is the purpose in the natural of a fruit? All right, to be used by somebody else. What else? What's inside of the fruit? And what do the seeds do? They provide new fruit trees. They become another, in this case, I called them an apple tree. It becomes another apple tree. That's awesome. We are supposed to reproduce. We are supposed to give away our fruit. But if he never gives away his fruit, if his fruit is never used, it's going to fall to the ground. It's going to fall underneath the tree. You might have some squirrels and those gosh darn deer come and eat that, or those dang rabbits. Oh my gosh, rabbits are everywhere. They might come and eat it, and it does have some use, right? But how long will it take for that apple seed to produce new fruit? I don't even know for sure. Grapevines, it said several years from seed. So has to grow, I think it was 3 to 5 years, but that could be wrong. Let's say 3 years, and then 2 more years for it to produce grapes that are any good. But if the fruit is continuously used, taken off the tree, taken to, the birds eat it, and then they go over there and they go to the bathroom and the seeds come out and they reproduce in a new place. That's supposed to happen. That's a good thing. But that tree needs to still produce fruit. We still need to produce fruit. I don't just get to go, I've already used all my gentleness and my self-control on Tim. I'm done. No. My fruit still needs to be reproduced. My fruit still needs to be given away. My fruit is not for me. That apple that fell underneath Don the tree did him absolutely no good. Will it reproduce another tree? Yeah, maybe. But it's also directly under that tree. It's continued to be shaded. It is very, very close to the main tree. It's probably not going to live. It's probably not going to get fruit because it doesn't have enough air. There's not enough light. There may not be enough water, blah, 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 whatever. So what happens when we use our spiritual fruit? It helps others grow. It does what else? Brings other people to Christ. It shows them the love of Christ. It gives them something to see that is Christ-like. Yes? Exactly. You want to go and see that tree. We want to. What is all that fruit about over there? No non-believer's going to look at us and go, oh, I think they have the fruit of the Spirit. Let's go see. No, they're going to go, there's something different about that person. Tim, he stopped calling me that name. Never called me a name again as long as he was at Hammett. He just stopped. I didn't do anything to tell him to quit. I didn't do nothing but just ignore him. It was really kind of funny. It was very inventive. But he stopped simply because I listened. I didn't harp on him. I didn't whatever. Whatever it is he had in his mind he wanted me to do, I didn't do it. So by us using our fruit that is not for us anyway, we can make disciples of others. We can have people come to see God. What is it about this person? And we can say, you know what? I go to Center for Hope. You want to come over here and see what it's all about? This is what we do. Do you want to know about what God has done for me? Let me tell you. I have a tree named Don. No, I'm just kidding. Let me tell you what good God has done for me, because we give away our fruit. So the fruit of the Spirit. So that's all I had actually for tonight. The fruit of the Spirit, remember, it's not for us. The fruit does us no good. This fruit is for others. And also to remember, when you read John 15, 1 through really 10, it says 17, but really through 10, we can understand it better now because we have the picture. We have the the written information about the grapevine and what it means. So stop and figure out. If you don't know what pruning really, really means, look it up. Check it out. Figure out what these words mean. So I just want to encourage you to use your fruit of the Spirit. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is very powerful. And has anyone ever grafted plants together? I'm going to tell you how hard it is. Snip, snip, make a little cut, connect them together. It is not a long, drawn-out process. So when God says he is engrafting us in, it's not like, oh, well, that's going to take about 2 weeks for that to happen. No, it's immediate. He's already told us we're engrafted in. We are engrafted with the seed of Abraham, as Bishop was saying. All right? So remember that when you are reading John. And remember, the fruit of the Spirit is not for you. It's for others. All right. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? If you want some more information about seed, go ahead and get out some money. Put it in the offering box back there. Plant your seed right here, right now. And see what happens. All right. If not, let's go ahead and pray out. God, I just say thank you. Thank you for giving the visual of what it means to produce fruit. Thank you for giving us the idea of what it means to produce fruit. Thank you for explaining the words that are in the Bible in a way that we can now understand what it means to be engrafted in, to be part of your vine, to be a branch on your vine, and to produce fruit. So we say thank you, God, for this production. We say thank you for these words. Thank you for this information. And God, we just say we love you, and amen and amen.